Communication skills, I think, are the most important skill you can have as an entrepreneur. The soft skills are far more important than your ability to use AI tools or troubleshoot cybersecurity or run ads or optimize data. Your ability to communicate is necessary because you as an entrepreneur, you're building a team. So today I wanted to talk about being powerful on video. And we've had a lot of sessions in office hours talking about how do you set up the video equipment? How do you get the right microphone? We've practiced opening hooks, which is what you say in the first 2 or 3 seconds. We've talked about the 1-minute video, which we have a course on, why, how, and what, right? The hook, the body, and the close. We've talked around all different angles of video. And while you can learn how to do that, and you can use templates that we have, there's still something missing that when it's time to point the camera at your face, most people go blank. And the question is, why is that? Why is it that I can't even speak myself. Why is it that public speaking is the #1 fear that folks have? And today I want to be able to crush that via a few simple techniques that I think you guys will enjoy. Earlier today, Jacob got his socks with his face on them, courtesy of our sock company, which is being run by Brennan. And I asked Jacob to make a 1-minute video about why these socks are important. Why are we doing things like this? Why is personalization important? How is that so key to a service business to be able to show that you really care? And how does personalizing with someone's face on it tie into showing how you care? So Jacob struggled a little bit.
I did.
Making some of these videos. And let's look at his first attempt. Here we go.
Guys, check out these socks. I just got them from Dennis. They have your personalized face. It can have your wife's face, any of your friend's face, your dog's face, anything like it. At first, when I opened Dennis's message, I thought it was some junk mail or some paperwork that I had to fill out. But initially, after opening the package, I revealed these really personalized socks. And I thought, man, what a cool way to show anybody can support me or support whatever you're doing. It's a really great way for Dennis to reach out. And it's a great service that we offer as a whole. We're able to deliver these personalized items and bring a closer relationship between me and my clients. If this is a service you'd be interested in, check us out. You shoot me a message anytime. This is.
Oops. So we cut off his name.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
It's definitely rough.
Why is it that people hesitate or they act differently on video versus when we're just talking, it's just fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why is that different?
It's because there's some sort of parentheses. It's like, oh, people are going to see this. This is my figure. This is what I'm supposed to be upholding. So you have some sort of standard that you try to kind of maintain. I think people have just a problem in their head that you want to maintain your social image. So
you're more afraid of being judged when it's being recorded.
I think so.
Yeah. You're more afraid that people will embarrass you or that you don't like how you sound or you won't say the right things.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we overcome that?
In my opinion, practice.
Practice? Yeah.
Practice.
I think it's 3 simple tricks. One is, instead of this being a camera hole, this thing that stares back at you, this unicorn, triplet, whatever triad thing, you think of it as a friend. You think of it as one person. Because when people think that they're talking to potentially the whole world, because you make a post on social media, potentially the whole world could see it, but realistically, like 20 people see it, right? And who are just your friends.
Right.
If you pretend it's just one person that you're talking to, then it removes all the fear. Because if you're talking to a million people, like millions of people live on TV, that's actually real pressure.
Right.
But there's no real pressure here. So one is you're talking to just one person. It's easier to personalize. It's easier to be more specific to the audience. Number 2 is one that most people don't know. Don't look at the camera the whole time. Most people will say, make sure you make eye contact inside that little hole because then you're able to zero in on them and it feels more personal. Yes, it is true that you want to look inside the camera hole like I'm doing now. But if I just stare at you the whole time, have you ever been in a conversation where someone just stares at you the entire time? It's like they're seeing through you. That's creepy.
So creepy.
So what you want to do is be natural.
Right.
So let's just imagine there's 3 people in this conversation. There's me, Jacob, and then this other person who we'll just call Rachel. Let's just pretend I'm looking inside the camera hole and that's Rachel.
Okay.
If Rachel's sitting here and us three are having a conversation, then you're naturally looking between, like Jacob's naturally looking between Rachel and myself.
Right.
So it becomes unnatural when you feel there's a ton of pressure and millions of people could potentially see it.
Right.
And then you have to look inside the camera hole because you've been trained to look at the
To
camera,
look at
right?
them, yeah.
Or worse, you look at yourself, which means you're not making eye contact ever.
Right.
So you should alternate between probably look, if you see people who are professional on video, the way they have that presence, watch how much of the time they're actually looking in the camera hole. Maybe 50% of the time. And they naturally will look away like this. They naturally, as they're gesturing, they're using their hands.
Right.
That creates a natural situation. So the third part, which ties into this, is imagine you were in handcuffs, like in a straitjacket, and you couldn't move. That restriction of your body language prevents you from being able to speak naturally. So when you're a public speaker, the first thing you learn on stage presence. So this is different from a Zoom. When you're actually on stage, that's different.
Mhm.
You have to be in what's called the ready position. What's the ready position? It's just like in football. You're on the line and you're hunched, your hands are here and you're ready to go forwards, backwards. You can move in any direction. So when your hands are here and they're out in front of you, your hands are free to gesture whatever you're saying. It allows you to speak more. Your hands, a lot of people will have very common gestures they like. So if you have a variety of hand gestures, your speech is going to be more fluid. And only 10% of your communication is actually verbal. 90% of it is nonverbal. So that goes into your body language and everything else.
Right.
So if you realize that's what the case is, if you free yourself up to where it's just one other person that you're talking to, your hands are in an open position, you're not establishing and gluing eye contact, then you're going to have a natural presence. You're going to have natural pauses, which is just fine.
Right.
So who wants to do some practice, some role play with me on this? On any topic, you have home court advantage. You name the topic. I will be an interviewer on your topic, and we'll just go one line back and forth. You know, communication skills, I think, are the most important skill you can have as an entrepreneur. The soft skills are far more important than your ability to use AI tools or troubleshoot cybersecurity or run ads or optimize data. Your ability to communicate is necessary because you as an entrepreneur, you're building a team. And you can't attract the best quality people. You can't resolve problems or perceived problems with clients unless you can communicate. Most people, they suck so bad at communication. And they just hide even further. They won't even show their face, right? I don't even want to show my face, but we have to practice what we preach. So communication skills can feel daunting, but think about your favorite entrepreneur. How about their communication skills? I'm not saying they have to have a huge YouTube channel, but the difference is their communication skill, not their level of knowledge. Their ability to empathetically connect with people, especially on video, to be able to look inside this eye hole and build that connection. You as an entrepreneur, you're a figurehead of your business. Whether you like it or not, you by definition are the figurehead in your business. And the thing I really want people to be able to do is overcome this fear of video. Now, all these other people will say, well, you need to be authentic. You need to double your energy because when you're on camera, the camera cuts your energy in half. That's true. You do have to talk louder. Talking louder will typically slow you down, which is good. So that way you don't talk too fast and end up stuttering. That's why people talk all over their words, because they talk too fast. I talk really fast. But when you're able to vary it, it becomes more natural. You can have pauses like this. And it's perfectly natural with no ums and ahs. You never hear ums and ahs from me unless I'm intentionally trying to do them. And so people will ask, how do you do this? I'm literally telling you, this is how you do public speaking. This is how you do Zoom calls. This is how you recruit. This is how you teach, do videos, all this kind of stuff. And I've not seen other people actually demonstrate in a live setting like we're doing now to be able to do role play. So why not take advantage of this situation? Who wants to go? Howard. What are we
Sure,
talking
how bad
about?
could it be?
What are we talking about?
Well, let's talk about one of our favorite subjects, steakhouses in New York City.
Okay, so we're going to go back and forth. I'm going to play the role of a CNN correspondent. And on TV, you have to speak in sound bites. If you try to talk for a whole minute, they're going to pull you off the air and never invite you back. So you have to be snappy. We talked about how to do that before, where you can acknowledge a question to stall or whatnot, but you have to quickly go for the exit. So that way they can ask the next question without having to interrupt you. So I'm going to be Dennis Yu, a correspondent on CNN. And today in the studio, we have Howard Globus talking to us about the best steakhouses in New York City. Howard, what's the best steakhouse in New York?
I think it depends where you're looking to go, Dennis, and how much you're looking to spend. But I think Smith and Lewinsky's is always a good bet.
Why?
It's convenient. It's in Midtown, a good quality product, and they always have good service.
You know, recently the Salt Bay got in a lot of trouble because he was at the World Cup and he was holding the trophy, which is not allowed except for athletes. And the Salt Bay has gotten famous for his $750 salt steaks that are covered in gold. What do you think about his steaks?
I think if you're looking to have a gold crusted steak, you can't do any better. But I would question whether I would want to be swallowing all that gold.
Well, you are what you eat. So you're made of gold.
This is true. This is true.
Now, all the rage besides American steakhouses have been Brazilian barbecue. What makes Brazilian barbecue so different and so popular now?
I would say that it's narrow cut. No, I think the Brazilian barbecue is something that's a little bit more exotic and differs from the U.S. portions, and it's something that people like to experience, something different. So I think that that's probably what people are finding with the Brazilian steakhouses.
There is a company that's now worth hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion, called Beyond Meat, and they're producing meat-like substances that are now in Chipotle and other sorts of food restaurants. Do you believe there will ever be a substitute for a real steak from a cow?
Short answer, no. Longer answer, my son as a chef has said that he's doing some interesting things with Beyond Meat. I haven't seen it as satisfying as an actual steak, though.
So if you had a choice between you lost your sense of smell, but you could eat as much steak as you wanted, or you became a vegetarian and you had the nose of a French chef, what would you choose?
I think that's a really tough question. I would like to say I'd be a vegetarian, but I think that we both know that I would choose the loss of smell to still be able to eat steak.
Because God said if humans were made to be vegetarians, then why are animals made of meat?
Exactly.
Last words for adventuresome carnivores in New York City.
Seek out the new and up and coming places, stuff that you'll only find by talking with your taxi driver or your concierge at the hotel, because they often will find the best places that are not yet overrun or overcrowded.
Thank you, Howard Globus, our New York steak correspondent and concierge.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, how did Howard do?
Really good.
Yeah? Give him some feedback. Of course it was good, but let's be more critical than that. What do you think?
His answers were very descriptive, yet they were short and they were quick to the prompt.
Okay. I thought you did great. I give you an A-.
I thought I stumbled a bit and I was a little bit more verbose than I wanted to be.
A little bit. The answers weren't as crisp, which is why I give it an A-, and you did have some filler words, some uhs. So because you stumbled and your mouth was still talking, that's where uhs and ahs come from. When your mind is still trying to make those words. So it's okay to pause. It's fine. I just paused there intentionally.
I thought he did great.
Yeah, it was excellent. His answers were clear. The delivery wasn't awesome, but it was good. All right, who's next?
Let me just say thanks, Dennis. I appreciate it.
Howard, you're great. I love how you just volunteer for whatever the exercise is.
Well, I mean, we're here, right? I mean, when are you going to learn to, it's like going to the gym. Not everybody wants to do it all the time, but you don't grow if you don't get a little bit of pain. So thank you.
Yeah. I have a personal trainer. His name's Carson T. Garden. He's got 100,000 subs on YouTube, and he does all these crazy sorts of exercises like muscle ups. And he's been training me to be able to do pull-ups. And it's embarrassing because I'm obese and I can only do a few pull-ups. And I was afraid last week when I tried to do pull-ups for the first time in a few years, I was afraid I couldn't even do one. but thankfully I cranked out 4 sets of 5. But that's the only way to get better. So if you're concerned about, if you're scared or embarrassed about your speaking skills, now is a great time to do it because there's only a few of us here. Who wants to give this a shot? If you're a business owner, your ability to communicate is critical. Maria, do you want to give this a shot? Or EJ? I see EJ's here.
I'll do it for sure.
All right, what are we talking about?
Um, we can talk about working out. Shoot,
Now,
let's
okay,
talk about that.
okay. So who should I be? Or who should, it could be any of us. Do you want to interview EJ?
I'll let you do it one more.
Okay.
I'll watch one more.
So today we are with EJ Saunders, a workout enthusiast and owner of an outdoor digital agency. EJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm glad to be here.
EJ, there's so many people on the internet that are giving advice on how you should work out and whether carbs are good or bad, or wine and cigarettes are good or bad. How do we know what is legit or not?
Well, if we look past all the way back to history, there's fundamental things that never ever change, right? So when we're talking about food, calories in versus calories out will never change. If you consume less than if you exert more than if you burn more than what you consume, you're going to lose weight. Same thing with exercise. If you pick up heavy things, you're going to get stronger. And so doing those things consistently is going to lead to the results that you want.
So EJ, recently there's been a movement of people who are large saying that being obese is not necessarily unhealthy. Who's that black singer?
Lizzo.
Lizzo is loud and proud and in charge. What do you think about this movement of Lizzo? Is it something that is endearing, or do you think it's promoting being obese?
I think it's promoting the fact that you need to be comfortable with who you are and be comfortable with your being in your own skin, so to speak. So when I think of that, it's not necessarily good to be obese, but it's not necessarily going to ultimately lead to something bad so long as it's under control. So for example, and obese is a widely used term that there's so many meanings to it. For an example, I am considered obese on the BMI scale. So when I go and get my height weight check, I think I'm like 15 pounds overweight, which puts me into the obese scale. Now I'm 5'8", I'm 180 pounds. I run, a 7-minute mile. Is that bad? No, I don't think so.
I think you have a lot of muscle.
Yeah, when you put stuff into perspective, right, and kind of outline the full picture rather than just looking at a few different numbers, you're going to get a more well-rounded perspective on if it's good or bad.
Good answer. Harvard did a study on people who were confronted with what's called the oh shit moment, where the doctor said, Jacob, if you don't stop smoking, you're going to die. Or EJ, if you don't stop eating all this fatty food, your heart just can't last any longer. So thousands of patients, Harvard studied, that were confronted with this oh shit moment, where if you don't change, then that's it. And what they found was that the majority of the people were not able to change. And they tried different techniques on educating them about the bad habits that they had, on having friends peer pressure them and shame them into trying to change, into getting these people to make commitments where they printed out a poster saying, I will not drink or smoke anymore. And they found that none of those techniques caused people to change. And there was no correlation between whether they were more educated or not to be more successful. You would think that someone who's a doctor is more likely to not smoke cigarettes than, right? Someone who's a heart surgeon probably knows not to smoke cigarettes, right? But even they were not able to change. Why do you think that is?
In my humble opinion, they have not found an intrinsic motivating reason to make the change. So when we talk about finding our why, why do we do certain things in life? Why is it important for me to stay fit? My reasons are going to be different than every other person's out there's reasons. Same thing with like smoking. My reason is going to be very different. Drinking alcohol, also very, very different. My reasons are going to be different than just about anybody's out there. But I have that intrinsic belief system that truly puts me in a spot where I've already made the decision before any kind of external factor has come into play. I've already made that decision on what exactly I'm going to do, and I've played it out in my mind so that I just act and I just do it versus having to react to something or having to react to the shame or anything like that, which can push people in the opposite direction in a lot of cases.
Driven
Having-
intrinsically, yeah, instead of logically, because it came
Yeah.
from your heart as opposed to rational, and heart-driven decisions are the ones that actually stick. You and I have a mutual friend, EJ, Daryl Isaacs. Daryl Isaacs has lost 70 pounds in the last 13 months. He took a picture of himself in front of his pants that he had before. It was like a hula hoop, if you saw that before. He took us out to dinner at Jeff Ruby's, a steakhouse in downtown Louisville, and ordered everything for us. But he only had a few pieces of shrimp and a couple pieces of asparagus as his dinner, but he ordered all the cakes, ordered all these ice creams, ate none of it himself. And he said that, because I asked him, how are you able to maintain such discipline? You didn't even have like one cheat day, not even one cheat meal in the entire year. He said, nope, not one. Because Dennis, nothing tastes as good as feeling thin. What do you make of Daryl?
I think he has found that motivating factor of, the feeling that he gets. So this is really like a big part when I take some supplements, like some of the different multivitamins and different things like that very, very religiously. Why? Because when I don't take that stuff, I feel like crap. And so in order for me to perform at my highest and my peak, and when I look at my family, when I look at, the true intrinsic reasons of why I'm doing it in the first place, it's like I need to feel at my best so that I can perform at my best for the people that are relying on me, so I can provide a life for them that I never had, right? So there's some of those things that, yes, it makes me feel thin, his reasoning to his personal reasons for that thing. But I would almost beg to factor that there's something else attached to that that's motivating him to want to even feel that, because he knows when he feels that, he's providing something over here.
That is so true. And you hit the nail on the head. Daryl said that for him to be able to help more people, he needs to be on this planet longer and be the best version of himself. And he can only do that when you put on your own mask first.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. Great job, EJ. Fantastic.
Sweet.
What
Thank
do you
you.
guys think? He's a pro. How about Anthony? Anthony's been doing a fantastic job in managing our VAs. In the last couple months, he's gotten some discipline in place, shall we say, where we had some VAs that were kind of abusing the system and they weren't getting the work done according to these standards, but he's gotten accountability in place. Do you want to role play with me, Anthony? Are you smartish?
I'm wearing smarties, but I'm not smart as of now. Yeah.
What's the difference between smart and smartish?
That I don't know with the owner of this company, but primarily this is like doing stuff like ish. Like, yeah, they're just like adding ish to some of those words. It's like what do you call this?
Like a play on word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
What you mean? It's smartish. It means like you're smart, but I'm not gonna have a shirt that says like I'm smarter than you, so I'm smartish, or like I don't know, I like nerdy things.
Yeah.
It's like it's something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I got you.
Very cool. What have you learned in the process of hiring, managing, promoting, and firing VAs?
Well, I've learned a lot in terms of hiring and firing here here in Blitz. Primarily, it's more on the attitude because a lot of people are like there's a lot of talented people around, but it's really hard for us to like acquire a person like with a good attitude. It's really essential for us to really like find a person with a good attitude, and that's really the challenge here. And yeah.
I agree. Because skills you can learn, attitude you usually can't. And someone who has a great attitude can learn any skill that's necessary. That's why Jacob's so amazing. He's learned all these new skills. For example, last week, I said, hey, create a voice clone inside Descript and start to show that you can do deep fake voice AI. And he's never used the tool before. And lo and behold, he did that. He set up his video studio, set up the lights, set up the microphone, set up these tools. How much help did I give you?
I mean, you give me the academy, which is a lot of help, but it's essentially doing it all, not necessarily along those steps.
But did I coach you along the way?
No, not necessarily like here's exactly how you do it.
I didn't even say anything to you,
No,
except
you just-
go learn this thing, and you figured it out by going through the academy and
Yeah.
the Google.
The
and-
tools are all
Cool.
there. You just gotta use the information pretty much.
Because like you said, Anthony, was the attitude. And we're screening for the attitude.
Yes.
An attitude
Exactly.
is a long-term play instead of like, I just need a contractor who has this one skill. I'm going to hire them for 2 weeks and their project's over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're going to help us hire another, hopefully 50 VAs in the next 5 or 6 weeks. Of course.
Yeah. Of course. We do like finding first the core for the team, and then we'll expand faster than that.
Yeah. And you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah. And thanks, Mike, too, because I know you're helping out with a lot of these operational pieces to the best of your ability. I
Exactly.
appreciate that. As long as you're doing the best you can.
Exactly.
All right. So video, soft skills are the most important thing. Your ability to see, even if you mess up, you got to keep going.
Right.
Your ability to communicate powerfully is based on how you set up the situation where you have a clear why, like EJ and Howard are talking about. JP talked about that as well. That clear why translates into knowledge. Competence creates confidence. Confidence is not something you summon out of the thin air. It is something that comes from something that you believe in. And if you believe in something and love something, you're going to have a lot of knowledge around that. Even Madonna said that whatever you know, you love, and whatever you love, you know. She said it in one of her songs. And even Jesus said that too. To know is to love. And you know, it's like the book of John. If you're a Christian, you read the Bible. So I believe if you're mission oriented and you want to help as many people as you can, like EJ is talking about, then same thing for Nick. You have to get your message out there in the clearest, most powerful way possible. And that means pre-recording your messages. Everything was recorded live initially. Isn't that neat to think? Everything was once live. Rachel's going to record all her things live, but it's going to reach all these other people without her having need to say it one-on-one. That's going to grow her business. That's going to maximize the power of her relationships, because the time that she spends one-on-one is going to be tailored to that particular company and their needs, instead of rehearsing the basics of Medicare and Medicaid. Our ability to communicate and structure is actually more important than our ability to hire VAs. It's more important than how well we can edit videos, because the ingredients that go into the kitchen are more important than the knives that you use to cut up the steak. A horrible grade of steak with the best steak knives, what's going to be better, Howard, versus a really good steak, but like $1 Walmart steak knives? What steak's going to be cooked better?
I'd rather have the dollar Walmart steak knives with a really good grade of beef.
So your success in digital marketing is dependent upon the ingredients, which is you on camera to be able to communicate. And I see all too often people that jump into digital marketing thinking it's about these techniques and tools and processes and blaming the VAs or whatnot, when the real asset is you. That's why today I wanted to focus on your ability to communicate in video. Jacob and I made a bunch of videos a bit earlier.
Yeah.
And who would I be if I were to try to tell Jacob, hey, make all these videos, but I didn't have the skill myself?
Right.
You can't demonstrate what you don't know how to do yourself, which is what we call learn, do, teach, which is one of the 9 triangles, these 9 principles. So I'd say whether your team is just you or many people, you should always be practicing what you preach. Just like breathing, you don't have to practice breathing. You just do it. 1-minute videos, you just do it. We don't even have to think about it. It's now natural. You can see there's so many of these videos that we've made just in the last 24, 48 hours. Were all of them good? No, but they're good enough. We made one promoting the socks on how you can order your own socks. And this one goes on for 2.5 minutes.
Hey guys, it's Jacob and Dennis.
And look, these are Jacob's socks, one of a kind. And we're congratulating Jacob on it. So we're congratulating him on his new job. We're talking about why personalization is important. This is going to be repurposed so it can be put on videosocks.com, put on to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, these other places. And then we're going to boost it, which is stage 4 of 4 in the Content Factory, so that other people that want to get socks for their friends can see how we're doing it. We're explaining how it's done, and it creates incremental revenue. It builds Jacob's brand and my brand. And it all started from a 2-minute video. Suzanne, who is my personal assistant in Vegas, she cleans the house, goes to Costco, picks up the mail, grabs me from the airport. She just started her soap business. If you would like some soaps for yourself or for a client or your wife or whatnot, send a picture to Stephanie at blitzmetrics.com. And we will send you some soaps at my cost. We will make these soaps, send it at our cost. And the only thing is I want you to make a 1-minute video when you get the soaps talking about how you really like them, if you like them, of course. And that will help Suzanne start her business. Because when Suzanne came to me a few weeks ago with her soap idea, she doesn't know anything about Shopify, or she can barely even use her phone. She doesn't know internet, right? She and I are of that age where the internet, kind of passes by. But she's able to start a new business because of this. And it was all because of a 1-minute video that when she came over with these soaps with my face and whatnot on them, and she wanted to start a business, I said, let's make a 1-minute video. And that's what we did. And that's the start of her business, is literally a 1-minute video of me sitting next to Suzanne, holding up her soaps, saying, Suzanne Soaps. We don't even have the website, SuzanneSoaps.com, right? But you see how powerful it is? Like a 1-minute video could literally make a business if it's being processed, if it has a clear why, if it's interesting, if you have a clear value proposition, right? If I was Russell Brunson, I'd say, you're just one video away. All right. Any other questions, thoughts? I appreciate all you guys. Every week in office hours, we cover a new topic. We answer questions that you have. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it was fun. Welcome, Jacob. Second day on the job.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Congratulations. Welcome, guy.
Thank you.
All right.
So I got a question, if I can. This is kind of changing topics though, if that's okay.
Any topic.
So I'm been currently using CRM from SharpSpring. I'm looking to, we're not using we're only using like very small amounts. So I want to kind of get downgraded to a system that we can actually utilize fully, and it's more longstanding, and it doesn't cost as much as it. I've been looking at high level. Obviously I looked at HubSpot as well. I know that can be pricey. Just kind of looking for recommendations around like what people have been used in the past, or what they like, and to see if anybody has any insight there. Dennis, I know.
Well, the best fit for your agency is going to be what mix of components you use best. So high level is not only used, but it's best known by entrepreneur agencies that run Facebook ads that drive through some kind of lead tracker, VA follow-up, call rail, something like that, to drive leads. And arguably them, and Pipedrive is good too. Vendasta has that too, but I think their project management system is a little bit weak. I'm a big fan of Basecamp, but with Basecamp, you then have to buy 5 or 6 other tools. So there's no one tool that does everything. SharpSpring's great, but they're expensive, like you said. HubSpot is known as an all-in-one. Probably the biggest all-in-one is going to be Salesforce, but that's like high ticket enterprise. So I think if you're using ads that drive through lead nurturing, high level integrated with Twilio and a couple VAs that follow up to ensure that those leads become appointments, is probably the clearest path in agency land, because the ads piece is the easiest way to drive clear ROI, which drives retention in the short run. SEO, you can use any set of project management tools, but High Level's forte is the snapshots they have where you can replicate this across clients, and being able to replicate those snapshots across other clients. If you have clients that are basically like for you an outdoor, you could probably replicate a lot of those. Like the best example is going to be franchise, because every franchise location is going to be the same. That being said, I don't think the back-end software is going to be as important as things like your onboarding process and your ability to train up account managers and your ability to report on those results, which is all independent of High Level. High Level has horrible reporting. They don't even have an API. I talked to Varun, who's their CTO. He doesn't have it. I've asked for 2 years now. But that being said, I love Sean, right? He's a good friend of mine. I'm friends with all the CEOs of these CRM companies. I think at some point in the next year or so, they're all going to be the same. So whether you're looking at like ClickUp, Basecamp, Monday, Sana, Trello, they're all the same thing. It's not the tool. Like if you switch from Adidas to Nike, I don't think you're going to be a better basketball player.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool.
Awesome. Anything else, guys?
What's your favorite tool for like a screen record video if you had to send to a client?
I like Zoom, Loom, and Descript. It's whatever tool you actually use. A lot of people prefer Loom because it's good for just general screen recording and it's cheap. Zoom is good for meetings, but you can have a Zoom where it's just yourself. But my favorite tool is Descript, because Descript, you can record the screen or your face or both, and it records live into folders, so you don't have to store locally. And then your VAs can edit right away, or you can just instantly publish to a YouTube channel or an unlisted link. And it also has all the features, as you've seen, where it cleans up the audio. It allows you to change the words, which is called overdub, and all these other sorts of features. So there's actually, my favorite a year ago was Wistia, but they changed their pricing and they got rid of their agency level accounts, which allowed you to do stuff across all these other, across many accounts, and they charged for storage, which I thought was ridiculous. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Zoom, Loom, Descript. Some people like to use QuickTime if they have a Mac, because that is a built-in screen recorder. It's free, easy to use. It's part of Apple. But the downside is it saves files and weird names, and it's harder to share because it creates these like 2 gigabyte files, which I know you can downsize to, 480 or 720, but I like to send stuff in high res. Descript will get the sound. So if you're doing video editing, or you have a VA that's doing video editing, then just buy the basic Descript license, which is like $30 a month.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. Love you all. Keep your updates up in the Facebook group, even though I'm locked out of Facebook and I can't reply right now, but we have other people like Mike here, and Anthony, and other folks.
I had no idea you were locked out, Dennis.
Yeah, well, I have not posted anything in 2 weeks. That's why.
Mm. Yeah, unfortunately, Facebook have really just dropped the ball.
I've been locked out for 6 months. Let me know how you get back in.
Well, I'm going to call people at Facebook, but they hate me because of what I said on TV and these other things. But anyway, it's
The
went
Dennis
ahead-
you problem.
I did post the link.
30 times probably. Yeah, it's not my first time being locked out. Awesome, guys.
Frustrating.
You're amazing. See you next week. Love you all.